So, welcome. I hope you feel well after lunch. I'm starting with introducing myself. Um, on the left side, this is Christina, my wife. So she's the kind of humble person, and I'm more the brain thing. So I wake up in the morning, having a shower, having the idea of this great new world where connected things are trustworthy and private. Uh, to be honest, she doesn't like this. She's not really satisfied with this comparison. From a more professional perspective, I'm CEO, I take care about some kind of a vision, I do the sales and marketing, so we're still just a 10-guy team. I'm kind of the chief secretary, and I have to take care that our appearance is kind of cool. But at the end, it's a couple of very intelligent programmers that are doing our platform, which I introduce in a short video. Or not. Sound?
Over time, communication has evolved. We've managed to connect everyone. Now it's about time to connect everything. A physical world, smart enough to access and blend with the digital universe, where information is delivered where it occurs, where data transfers into meaning. Do you speak IoT? To open new ways, boost potential, take the lead. It's time to connect the dots to see the bigger picture. No need to start from scratch or reinvent what's already there. Why not rely on some wisdom? Nemea, the operating system for connected things.
So I'm talking about Nemea, which is some tool to impress the boss or client. It represents an open source software which makes it easy to build connected products. And mostly, like a development story starts with some kind of boss or client which says, hey, we need to smarten up our products. Our portfolio is dumb. We need to make more out of that. Let's make it digital. And what does the boss actually mean with that? Mostly he just says, let's connect it to the World Wide Web, maybe make an UI. And so this is his kind of perspective. And he gives you this kind of order, and then you have to start with a set of requirements, or maybe with no set of requirements. How does the boss think? Like, connect the thing, and then they are done, then the value of a product is created already. I give now as like a tiny story from our side. So we had, for example, a customer that came to us and say, hey, we have garage door drives, we want to connect them to the internet. Previously, they are not connected, but we want to see what they are doing. We want to see who is using them. We want to see where the problems are, and this kind of thing. So we started to work with them. We built a gateway, connected them with Bluetooth. It's a little Linux machine. Of course, we made an app because this is the essential part of every smart device. And then at the end, we were done. We connected the door drives, and then we had a smart door drive, which gives cool opportunity for delivery use cases and that stuff. So we were happy. We made the customer kind of happy. It was a big project, good financial deals, and so on. But then, when we were finished connecting it to the World Wide Web, things started to evolve. So the customer said, hey, we want to have our product working with other products. And hey, we want to have this kind of platform where our customers can manage these store drives. Or, hey, I just had the idea of giving one-time access with a QR code on the phone. Or, hey, there is this cool kind of delivery service. I want to open the door when some delivery guy comes. So a whole bunch of things occurred on top of that connected product, which made things a little bit complicated. And this is what's, from my experience, happens all the time when we start to make objects that are connected to the internet. It's just the start to make it work with the World Wide Web. So the boss at the end says, hey, this product is not smart. So it is connected to the internet, but it is not smart. It doesn't provide value. It doesn't do anything that makes the world a better place. Let's call it like that. So also we know it from the Fire Festival, island solutions or Insellösungen never work well because they don't really provide value. How do we solve that problem? Everyone knows that because we have it in our pockets. In the previous talk, it was mentioned before already. So we have an edge device in our pocket that is capable to install and execute any kind of application. So it's driven by hundreds of thousands of apps, downloadable and executable through an app store. So this is, in my opinion, the best IoT product ever. So this was actually our idea 3 years ago when we started this company. We need something that makes it as easy to connect products to other products or services as installing an app. So the idea was, let's create something like an app store for IoT devices so they can expand limitless. So we made Nemea. We called it an IoT operating system in the very beginning, but to be honest, it didn't work out, so the world doesn't really understand this wording, so we had to roll back, made some iterations, learned, and then we came up with, let's say, building blocks for IoT. So the developer story usually is like that. You need an app first, and they need the product first. So you need to take care about this, whatever it is, Linux or embedded system. You need to have apps for different platforms, and then you connect it with some kind of cloud. So you can use AWS and Azure and all that stuff. And we just tried to make, from the app to the actual product, to make it as easy as possible to show something. Our goal is to set up a running system and a deployable system in 10 minutes. I think we did a good job in that already, but of course we never stop exploring to enhance this. So our core value is, of course, developer driven. It's an open source platform. It's nice that we have some contributors already. And we have this system live in already a couple of thousand products. And for you, like from the app to the plugin, all that stuff that runs in the background, like continuous integration and so on, is done on a nice level. And the most important stuff, developer doesn't use stuff he cannot really control, so everything is open source. And our focus always had been, so this is kind of an historical thing, but I think it makes a lot of sense, the edge, because we see voice assistants and smart TVs, smart fridge, whatever. Everything is connected to the cloud. And nothing of all that smartness actually happens on the edge. And so this is kind of our philosophy. We are more the privacy-driven guys, want to add some piece of technology that the product itself is smart. So if you disconnect the Ethernet cable or the Wi-Fi connection, it should continue what it is supposed to do. In my opinion, this is really smart at the end. So the core module of Nemea, it's called Nemea Core, is a middleware. That is, you can consider it as a smart home stack, like Home Assistant or Open Remote or what else. There are some projects out there. Also EdgeX was already mentioned, but meant for more the consumer electronic stuff. or energy stuff, which has a ton of integration. So you don't need to care about the Amazon and the Googles of this world, and you don't need to care about the bus systems that run on the edge. So this is done in a very nice format. You can just utilize it through some nice API calls on a lib. So this is the main focus. We have some app stuff around as well, based on JavaScript or even on Qt, but this is the core thing. So if you install it, like apt-get install Nemea, then it's already capable of doing cool stuff. So it's the fundament of a smart device. And then connecting things itself is not, as I already told you, it's not the value. So just putting a cable from here to there, which basically is the definition of internet, doesn't provide value. So at the end, you will come up with cool business logic. So if you connect a smart fridge with a sensor, or if you connect this door drive with an delivery service, what else? We have one customer, it's called Harman, little audio system company. They made from a smart speaker, they made a security system out of it. So at the end, it's like in local if this then that. Who knows if this then that? Hands up, please. Some of you. So if this then that is this, in that case, it's a cloud-driven platform. You can connect devices or services. It's like Zapier a little bit, but an easier one. And then you define the behavior between those devices. So I want those things to behave like that. If this sensor tells me that, then I want to do that. So if this, then that. And Nemea does all the job of integration, which is the hardest part in the IoT space. And then, of course, you need to deploy some kind of business logic. So in a very simple manner, it's like the local if this, then that platform. I can show you the Nemea app. So this is an open source thing as well. Does it work? Yes. So this is the representation of the full Nemea API. So it's not beautiful. It doesn't look cool. It just shows you in a visual way what can be done. So you integrate, you onboard a lot of devices. So you can install new devices just by configuring all the things. You get a list of things. You can install new things. You can deploy new things centrally. And then you can control them. For example, I have a smart meter integration here, and it shows you the values. They are stored locally somewhere. So at this moment, they had been fetched from a demo server that we had set up. So this is the basic thing, like a professional smart home system. So you can integrate things, all you need. And then the first step that we did is this little if this then that thing. We called it magic. So you can define when this happens, then you can this and that and so on. So here you see it on a little visual thing. Of course, you're very limited with that. But mostly, so this is not meant for the end user. Mostly you configure things and then you deploy things. And on the edge, the thing that you defined starts to work. So you press a button and the behavior starts to work on thousands of devices out there, which is pretty cool. It's similar to Lambda functions, but already considering all these integrated nodes. What we saw then, so this is like the backbone of the edge device, what's doing, so communicating with things. And what we see then, okay, developers want to have much more freedom in how to define these business values, this business logic. And so we are releasing something. It is a low-code platform for this kind of logic, which is based on JavaScript, so everyone can use it. And here is the app again. So this is a setup from one of our developers at home. So he lives in Ulm. He has his home setup in that case, and cool stuff. So he just shows here turning on and off from this demo app. He can control his lights, for example. And as you see, he has a pretty nice setup using for his home. Using the Philips Hue tab and I guess also the light is a Philips Hue bulb in that case. So Philips Hue can also already do some cool things. And now we just integrate it into the demo app to make it as simple as possible to define the behavior between two things. It has code completion by itself, so all the things that are imported show up when you just type something. So you create a device event. If you press a button or if a sensor says something, then this is an event. Something in the surrounding happens. You define the event first, and then you say when it's triggered, here is a console output. You write something to the console to watch what's going on. And then he just deploys it, and it actually already does what it's supposed to do. And if you connect the cable, it still does what it's supposed to do. You can like define states, what's happening when some kind of state occurs. So when sun rises, for example, this is a state. This is not defined as an event. This is defined as a state. Just two things, so it's not getting more complicated. Then you can define as well what is going to happen. So he defines a power state. The power state just says, is it turned on or off in that case? We need a variable for that. So as you see, the limited if this then that is enhanced completely by writing your own code and your own behavior. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit now. And pause it. I don't know if this is readable, but if not, just have a look on our website and maybe follow us on Telegram, because we're regularly posting that stuff, like new releases. There is a new release almost every week, if some kind of function. So we defined a sequential animation here. It's a color animation. So this is already exceeding the capabilities of the Hue setup by itself. Hue setup can, like from the Philips Hue app, you can define some rules, but this is way beyond that. And what Michael in that case did is defining a very cool animation as a showcase. So he defined a state when I press the Hue button. So if the old state changes, then start the animation, deploying. And now he presses the button, and it is defined on another piece of script. Now he is copying the thing, yeah, exactly. So this is an animation which goes from red to green, then to blue, and then to red again. Deploying, pressing the button, and the thing does what it is supposed to do. To red, to green, to red again. Easy as that. Then you can take this script and deploy it from a cloud platform to all of your products out there. And we take care about things like continuous integration stuff, that things are executed securely. So Nemea is supposed to make a product work with everything, which is actually nowadays one of the key buying arguments for customers. So if you buy a smart speaker and it doesn't support AirPlay 2, then you most likely not going to buy it. Or if you have a smart TV which is not capable of another protocol, let's take again AirPlay or Chromecast, you're not going to buy it. So this is the key functionality, or in our setup, it can be Azure or AWS, or the works with Alexa, for example, or the Google Home stuff. So this is just the standard setup today, which every modern product actually needs. We call this the northbound side because everything that happens from and to a cloud is the northbound, and the southbound is the local stuff. So, for example, what we have here is the Google Nest. Maybe you know it, smart thermostat, talking via some low-pan network. And with Nemea, all the integration effort is pretty much done. Hopefully. the boss is happy if you present him that all his desires and all his visions that come from the marketing or sales perspective can be executed in very short amount of time and deployed. So a product actually grows in functionality, and this offers very cool new services, because at the end, mostly IoT products, you don't pay off really. So they make software for millions. Again, the example Harman, I know how much they paid that a smart speaker is actually smart and supports all that. This is millions, but nobody is paying for that. You take it for granted. So what they're trying desperately is adding new services, new value from their own side to have a return on invest on all this smartness. Yeah, actually, I would like to invite you to dive into the ecosystem of Nemea. So just check it out if it is of value. And I'm very happy that if you give me feedback on all of that, because it's an open platform and we try to be open people as well and get as much information from the developer scene as we can get. And this was the short introduction in Nemea already. And I'm very thankful that you have listened to my words.
Thank you. So thank you very much for your presentation. It's quite impressive what you can achieve. So we can move on to the Slido questions. I think we have a couple of them, and I think we can maybe answer them all. If you're still interested in asking Simon some kind of questions about Nemea, about how this works, feel free to address them. So the first one with most upvotes is, what can Nemea do what other Home Assistant can't? What a Home Assistant can't?
Perfect question. So if you download Home Assistant and install it on a device that is scaled up in quantities of thousands, and you have to maintain the Home Assistant stack, which is a complete open source project, then the maintenance effort grows far beyond your head. So I don't know how many developers you need to just take this big open source project and pack it in an actual product that is sold on the market, that is unpacked and should work like a light bulb. It needs to work perfectly. Nemea is the same, but it's smaller and it's well maintained. So the testing environments and so on, they are just on a professional base. So in one sentence, Nemea, it is less than Home Assistant functionality-wise, but it just works, and you can use it, all the license things and so on. They are meant to be in a professional product.
All right, so you mentioned Nemea is open source. How do you monetize, actually, if everything is open source?
Yeah. So there is GPL free mostly, and sometimes this is okay, but big companies, of course, they need ownership of everything they have in their product. So we have a dual license. In every source code file, there is GPL free or something else, and there is a dedicated license to get ownership and to get a license of the whole stack. So then the business model is obvious. We sometimes have some work to do to adapt, so this is just selling hours. But mostly our stack is packed into some like bigger stack, bigger firmware, and then we have kind of by device kind of fees.
All right. In your opinion, Nemea is more useful in everyday life, or is it rather to be used to solve more of problems of industrial world?
So for industrial things, so Nemea historically, we started in 2013 actually, when we were very much in the smart home sector. We were in Korea for an exchange semester. So most of the founders, they studied on Technicum University. And then we wanted to do something with smart home. And the stack still comes out of that, and I think it's more suited to consumer products. So from app and from the integrations, it's more suited to consumer. I think for industrial, there is EdgeX Foundry, which has been mentioned, which does a better job there and is better suited for this use case.
All right. So the next question: on which hardware operating system does it run?
So since it is based on Qt, C++, it would work everywhere. Mostly, of course, Nemea is part of the firmware of a Linux-based device, so any kind of Linux. I think now we are building the whole thing for 14 platforms, which mostly is Linux, Yocto, Debian, whatever.
All right. And what have you seen so far? What is your favorite use of Nemea that you have seen?
The best thing in terms of money was Harman. The most valuable use case, I think, is for me, so this was a German customer, is delivering goods in garages which had been deployed worldwide. I think this makes a lot of sense because you just don't need to go to the post office anymore.
Have you seen using Nemea for anything goofy, like, I don't know, watering your plants and so on?
Yeah, of course. So the Nemea, the open source thing, it is like Home Assistant. People start to use it for a whole variety of things. We also see Home Assistant guys stepping over to Nemea because it's just more professional, so it works better. It doesn't break.
All right. Not sure I completely understand the question. Does Nemea support NOtion devices?
NOtion? Yeah, this is
I'm
a
not
low.
familiar with those. I'm sorry.
This is a low power protocol. Not yet, sadly. And HomeKit, yes.
And the
So
HomeKit, yeah.
we are working on a HomeKit product right now. But the certification process for Apple MFI is really, it's ridiculous.
Painful.
Yeah, hard.
All right. Next question. Would IoT and ML have a huge impact in industries like vertical automated farms?
We are experimenting with the Tensorflow stuff that had been mentioned too. For example, from a sound environment, we try to figure out if there is a breaking glass or a fire burning. And we try to use this kind of sensor input from a microphone to turn it into actions, like giving an alarm. So I think this is key because most of the sensors and data points we're gathering, they have more value than just showing the data point, like 20 degrees doesn't say anything for this moment, so you need to find out what is essential in this data.
All right. Nemea versus NoDread. I think this is some kind of competition.
Geeky questions. Yeah, you can see it like that. So again, NoDread, I saw some products deployed on NoDread. It's hard to maintain it at the end. NoDread is way cooler in how to connect the things and how to define the logic. But again, to run NoDread on the edge out there and have the reliability that it always does what it is supposed to do is not there, or at least you need some effort to make it like that.
So we have someone who would like you to elaborate on the garage delivery use case. How does it work?
Yeah, this is complex. So the door drive has been Bluetoothized, so they connect an old bus system, they turn this information into Bluetooth, then there is a gateway which again transfers the Bluetooth to Wi-Fi, and then it's connected. So this is, in that case, how data is transferred or submitted. The delivery use case in that case is simple. We made a little barcode scanner that is outside the garage door. The delivery guy comes and just scans this, how's it called in English, this gelber Zettel. So they just scan the number, the tracking number actually of the parcel. You define this new delivery in an app. You say this parcel is allowed to enter my garage, and when he scans it, this is the, like, it grants the access for one time, and then he can deliver this parcel.
All right, thank you. So we have two more questions. What can you tell us about Nemea from the point of IoT security?
Yeah, well, we did dozens of Linux machines that are out there doing some kind of job. I think it's simple, or it's not simple, but you have to have this expertise. But I think it's okay to encapsulate this Linux machine You can seed it with certificates and that stuff. The more difficult part is if you connect to all these bus systems or APIs, they are not really secured, so there is no security by design. So at the end, Nemea is actually a security layer. It connects to a lot of things, and since this is a daemon and also has some security containerized functions, all this communication with these third-party devices and buses cannot harm the overlaying system or underlying system, actually.
All right, so we have one last question. I'm a little shady on the terms. So can it be used for on-premise solution, probably? That is a typo for storing link a Hadoop ecosystem. Sorry, are you familiar with what the question is asking about?
Yeah.
Okay, then go on.
This is my job. Well, on-premise, I think this is meant from the perspective using Nemea as a gateway to collect data or to send data somewhere on-premise, like on, let's say, in a manufacturing site. So yes, of course, Nemea is actually meant to make that run there. I'm not familiar with Hadoop, but we can figure it out. And everything with Nemea is kind of on-premise because the focus is in our, what we do mostly, the focus is the end product itself. So I would call this on-premise.
All right, so thank you for your presentation. I think that you're available to talk to people a little more about Nemea and what you do. So thanks again. Thank you for your questions. So let's clap for Simon.
Thank you.